The time has come. This guitar will be finished today, period. There's nothing else that can happen. Honest. Welcome to Luthier's Tips, Tools and Training with Crimson Guitars. I'm Ben Crow, and I've been building this guitar for far too long.
Burn it.
The initial project was to take a 4x4 mahogany fence post, essentially. It was new old stock from a sawmill, I suppose, a timber dealer during COVID that needed to divest themselves of a lot of stock, which is great. And I saw it and thought, holy hell, there needs to be an instrument. I, at the time, needed a travel guitar. And I'd always wondered about making something along the lines of the Martin Backpacker. Every single little piece of this instrument is made from that wood, from the fretboard to the bridge. I did some crazy stuff. The sides were contiguous pieces from the end to this section, and instead of cutting and then re-gluing, I cut partway through the side and then bent it with water and some trepidation. Instead of inlaying all of these patterns and bits and pieces on there, I scored them out with a knife and then filled it with dust and glue. It's got a Crimson Guitars oil finish on there. Thought I was going to have this finished, well, many times over the last year or two. And most recently, somebody said in a comment, I can't believe you're not making a mother of pearl tuning key head, or mother of pearl tuning key keys. What is the correct terminology there? Seeing as you've just gone and made a mother of pearl nut. That happened because I'm easily led and have no self-control. Today, however, I'm going to finish carving the bridge, install the strings, install the mother of pearl mini saddles. I'm quite excited to hear it play, finally. And weirdly scared. On we go. The plan is to take some of these mother of pearl discs that used to belong on a handbag, and which I've made the tuners out of, and cut individual little saddles out of each one and position them where they need to be. The thought with this, it's not new to me, is it's about string separation. If you've got just a single saddle, when your G string is vibrating, it's also going to set off some vibrations in the B and the D. And keeping individual saddles reduces that and makes for a clearer sound. Now, obviously, this instrument is not and never will be a concert level acoustic guitar, but it's fun to make something to the nth degree, I suppose. The next stage, though, is that I want to have the string break angle coming from the bridge pins matching as much as possible the angle on the back of the bridge. Now, originally that was just an aesthetic thing. I like the facets and it works with the shape of the guitar. But what it means is that I will be able to put the bridge pins in at an angle, and the anchor point where the ball end is going to be closer to the actual saddles than it is on a traditional bridge. Now, some acoustic guitar bridges over time lift up in that way because the string goes straight down and pulls up. I wonder if this would make any difference long term. I'm adding mass to the bridge. Where the ball end locates against the underside of the top, that is still going to be firmly pulling up against the top. We're going to have the sound that we want, etc. But I don't know, it's interesting. What do you think in the comments? First though, I need to carve my angle a little bit more because I didn't quite calculate that correctly. That is to say, I didn't calculate anything. I drew a few lines and thought that looks about right. I basically need this bevel to be as close as I possibly can get it to where the saddles are going to be. which means I need to know roughly where they're going to be. Now what I'm worried about here is that in the center, in this area, I'm still not going to have enough of a bevel to get the strings sitting nicely. It might, well, they might end up sitting on this hump. I could cut some slots, potentially, just to keep the design, but what I might need to do is cut in, turn it into a W potentially, or create a flat top pyramid thing, which aesthetically would not be ideal. Let's see how this game plays out. Oh yes. Cross-grained. I'd forgotten about that. Makes me angry. If only there was another word that I could have used there. Something funnier. Punny, perhaps. I'm so cross with myself. Time for the big boy. When you're struggling with grain, oftentimes cutting across grain is better. And when you're trying to keep a specific angle, having a large tool where you can rest a part of the tool on another part of the angle to follow it over that's a good idea. That is how planes work. Slicing helps as well, although obviously be aware of what's happening with the top. I think we are just about okay. Time to get serious about these bridge pins, or I don't we? So I'm going to be installing these D'Addario premium grade things, mother of pearl and ebony, of course. No, nobody suggests I make solid mother of pearl bridge pins. I might have just had an idea. No, not now. It's not as simple as going off the front of the bridge here and going square, because obviously there's a slight fan. So there's going to be some changes to the curves, there's going to be some changes to the carve. I'm sort of vaguely thinking something like that. I could potentially create I don't know, we'll get there later, and potentially a nice little bevel along the front. But for now, well, let's make some holes, shall we? So essentially what I've got here, the length of string between the bridge pin and the saddle, there is a difference on each of the extremes. And you know how this world is just full of unmitigated bullshit. This is we're going to be boosting the mids and cutting the lows and increasing the volume with this simple trick that nobody knew. There is potentially a very small effect that this added little bit of length on string could have, but again, this isn't a concert guitar. It would be interesting to do some experiments at some point. Don't believe all the bull people. Don't believe the bull. Hand tools only, people. Although I have slipped up a few times. Onto a slightly larger hand drill. The bridge is fairly soft. And my hand drills don't have the capacity to hold the center point bits that I've currently got here. So I'm starting the cut in reverse, being very, very aware of where I'm going and hoping that I don't rip out any grain. It's a little bit dodgy, so what I'm actually going to do is move to a different tool. I'm going to put some tiny watchmakers reamers in, and I'm just going to ream it out. There's always an excuse to have multiple tools. The real trick is remembering what you've got and where they are. Wow, this is nice. feels incredible. The noise this makes, there's a little whistle as it goes on. You probably can't quite make it out. I enjoyed that. I've gone through 2 of them, and then now it's on to a handheld reamer to start making things a bit bigger. Come to think of it, I'm not actually going to trust myself not to poke into the back, so I'm going to just put a bit of tape there, which is where it's going to be when I get close. That'll do. Yep. Doesn't fit yet. We are going to be there, or very close to there, at about the time when I start running out of room. Suspenseful guitar building, yo. Suspenseful guitar building, yo. How uncool could I be? No. We're going to have to go up a size shortly. Now, my next reamer is too big, but I do have these things, which are tapered drill bits, and in tests, the taper is actually pretty damn perfect. So I'm going to open it up, just by hand. And see where we end up. That's the beginning. There we go, no wiggle, no mess, no fuss. Of course, I have the right tool somewhere. I have no clue where half of my tools are. In the process of sorting it out, but I also kind of would rather build things than tidy things. I'm sure you understand. So let's see what happens if we just go straight from here. No, I do need to go in with a taper first. It's going to take a while. Satisfying. Okay, a bit of carving. The center line I ended up with isn't quite centered. . 'Cause Strings are going on. It's not a big thing. No big deal. Yeah. Do we have champagne? Okay, so I'm putting on some 1152's D'Addario XS phosphor bronze, of course, because, well, I thought let's go light gauge, and if it's going to explode, it's going to explode. I'll fix it. Strings go on gently. I'm then going to use that to figure out where the intonation points are, etc., with temporary saddles, and then finally we'll put the saddles in. I know I could potentially work this out beforehand and do, you know, jiggery pokery, etc., but if I have the choice between the way and a different way, I want to do the different way just so I can experience it. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. Okay, so I have a feeling that I'm going to need to slot. Yeah, I'm going to create a slot for at least the wound strings. If only I had a tiny needle file. If only I had a bigger needle file. Ooh, or a smaller one. Oh my gosh. Actually, amusingly, that tiny one's pretty bloody cool. Okay, come on. Enough fun and games. Yeah, that'll do. No, that's square. Fine. First one. A string. I take it back. Before the string goes in, just needed to do that. Beverly thing. Hey, there we go. Okay, a few more to do. Yep, nope. Not a pretty noise, is it? Temporary saddle. A little low, but under tension that actually might be enough on its side. But this is what we're making the final saddles out of anyway, so I'm going to cut some of these up and run with it. Ooh. Nice, chunky and actually relatively flat. I might as well see if the pieces that I make could potentially, maybe possibly, be the pieces that I use on the guitar anyway. Why not? So that's where the holes are. Let's get rid of that. Sheet. They fell into a drawer, and I saw both of them land, and the drawer was full of tools. No, I stuck myself to it. Okay, I have got a little pile of mother of pearl, and I'm going to file them down until they are all copacetic together and sorted and nice and looking the same, because well, it's important to me. So I've super glued it to a little bit of wood in the vise to save the wrists. And here we go. This little spot leveling file is getting a lot of use in this build. And none of it for spot leveling. So put it on a slightly narrower chunk of wood so that I can sort out the edges here. This is going to be 2 videos. I cannot believe how much is going into this build. I'm going to leave you wondering how the hell those are going to come apart. Many of you have got it, I'm sure. The next video is going to be going out as soon as humanly possible. I'm doing nothing other than finishing this guitar. Click like, subscribe, please, if you have not yet. Share this with everybody. And no, wait, don't, because it ends on a cliffhanger. So, shh. See you soon. Goodbye.